Welcome in. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating shift happening right now in the global industrial landscape. We're going to look at how small and medium enterprises, the traditional underdogs of the manufacturing world, are using the power of rapid prototyping down in Argentina to completely disrupt traditional global manufacturing. It's just an absolutely incredible story of how technology can literally level the playing field. Now, researchers are actually calling this tech the motor of the third industrial revolution. I mean, that is a massive claim, right? And it immediately begs the question, how on earth can a local underdog, a small business operating way outside the traditional centers of global wealth, wield this kind of world-changing power? How exactly does a 3D printer or a CNC machine rewrite the incredibly complex rules of international trade? Well, to understand exactly how that works, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the global value trap. Second, we'll enter the world of rapid prototyping. Third, empowering local industry. Fourth, institutional support. And finally, we'll wrap up with the open source solution. We're going to seamlessly connect macroeconomics, engineering, and public policy right here, so let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this first section, the global value trap.
This whole idea actually traces back to an economic theory by Raphael Kaplinsky in 2009. He talked about something called a global value chain. Basically, it's the entire sequence of activities required to bring a product all the way from a rough idea in someone's head, straight through to delivery and even disposal. I want you to picture a giant ladder. At the very top of this ladder are your dominant global gatekeepers. Usually these are massive international corporations. And they are the ones who dictate all the rules, they set the standards, and ultimately they control the flow of money and power all the way down that ladder.
Now think about Argentine pymes. That's their local term for small and medium enterprises. These guys are practically stuck at the very bottom rungs of that ladder. Because they're smaller, they completely lack power over their own value chains. They certainly can't set the global standards, and honestly, they traditionally just can't compete with the massive initial investments required for serious product development. So they end up heavily dependent on buying wildly expensive, imported, specialized machinery just to stay in the game. And you can really see this survival mindset reflected in the data from the Fundación Observatorio Pymes. Local businesses often view tech merely as a way of acquiring the necessary technologies to maintain competitiveness. Basically, they're buying tech just to keep their heads above water. They're fighting just to survive, rather than innovating to become the technological leaders who actually set the pace in the market. It's totally a defensive strategy, not an offensive one. All right, moving on to Section 2. Enter rapid prototyping. This is our hero's weapon in the story. So, to give us a quick technical foundation, there are three distinct categories of rapid prototyping, or RP. You've got subtractive, which is kind of like traditional sculpting, carving away a block of material to reveal a shape. Then there's additive, like your classic 3D printing, which builds an object layer by layer from the ground up. And finally, compressive, which transforms a semi-solid or a liquid into a solid shape. Collectively, these processes have fundamentally changed how things are made. Because of this, we are seeing a massive clash in product development. On one side, traditional methods require sky-high initial investments for things like molds and tooling. The testing phase is agonizingly slow and the production itself is incredibly rigid. But on the other side, rapid prototyping is incredibly cheap, it allows for almost instant early error detection, and it can be highly personalized. So it's super easy to see why this tech isn't just some cool gadget, it is literally an economic lifeline for small enterprises. Which brings us nicely to Section 3, empowering local industry. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. The most crucial advantage here is risk mitigation. You see, for a giant multinational corporation, a failed product launch is basically just a tax write-off. But for small local business, a failed launch is total financial ruin. Rapid prototyping allows these smaller companies to engage in incredibly cheap, early error detection right there in the design phase. They can print a physical model, test it out, find the flaws, and completely redesign it all in the same afternoon. They bypassed all those crippling financial risks tied to traditional product development. And it gets better because it unlocks the absolute holy grail of modern markets, true personalization. We live in an era where consumers want products tailored perfectly to them. Rapid prototyping means local designers can quickly test and adapt physical objects to the exact, unique needs and desires of every single user. Think about the last time you paid a premium for something custom-made. You aren't just selling one mass-produced item anymore. You're selling an infinite variation of a solution. This is a huge market trend, and local businesses are uniquely positioned to jump right on it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that none of this is happening in a vacuum. There is this vast, totally interconnected network of public universities and academic units across Latin America, places like the University de Buenos Aires and the Discern Network, and they are actively researching, sharing, and supporting this revolution. It's basically this robust backbone of intellectual infrastructure feeding directly into the local industry. Let's shift gears to Section 4, Institutional Support and Strategy. Down in Argentina, a key player in all of this is INTI, the National Institute of Industrial Technology. Through their laboratory dematerialization, they don't just hand out 3D printers and say, good luck. They actively advise companies on how to use rapid prototyping effectively. They teach what they call the crucial concept of product maturation. It's honestly remarkable to see how fostering this vital culture of design, rigorous testing, and continuous refining among small businesses ensures that when a product finally does hit the market, it is truly world-class. And this loops beautifully back to Kaplinsky's macroeconomic theories from earlier. He called this proactive governance. Essentially, it means the state steps in to provide direct or indirect executive assistance. By helping these small suppliers master rapid prototyping, INTI is actively helping them meet some incredibly strict global environmental and quality standards. They are literally lifting these businesses up that global value chain ladder we talked about. All right, our final section, Part 5, the open source solution. Now, you might be wondering, how do these underdogs access all this advanced design software without those massive corporate budgets? Well, the answer is the open source movement. It means that the blueprints, the designs, and the software are all freely available to the public on the internet. By removing the financial, legal, and technical barriers, and then pairing that free knowledge with affordable 3D printing technology, local businesses can completely bypass those traditional industrial gatekeepers. You literally don't need permission from a massive corporation to download a blueprint and start innovating on it. Let's ground all these abstract economic theories with a really powerful real-world example. Take the healthcare sector. Say a local clinic identifies a need for a customized medical device, maybe a prosthetic hand or a really specialized surgical guide. Instead of ordering something wildly expensive, they simply go online, download an open-source design model, 3D print it locally using rapid prototyping, and bam! They instantly achieve incredibly high-quality, perfectly customized results at a fraction of traditional manufacturing costs. They bypass the entire traditional supply chain. So that leaves us with one final really big thought. Can open source design and rapid prototyping permanently rewrite the rules of global manufacturing? When you combine the agility of an underdog, the accessibility of rapid prototyping, and the borderless knowledge of the open source community, the traditional gatekeepers might just be looking at a completely revolutionized game. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.